And welcome back, everyone, inside Grid Lounge here in downtown Cedar Falls as we look to get race 3 started here. This is the sport car race where we have 5 racers: Jason, Bryce, Phil, John, and Jim going for first place in the sport car race. As Jason will come out quick and early in first, Bryce in second, John in third, Phil in fourth, Jim in fifth. As we would only pass.
Oh,
There
John.
goes John. John hit the wall there. Yep, what happened, Jason? Did you see what happened?
You know, the camera switched right at the wrong moment, but it almost looks like he went for a nice pass. Maybe just got on the curb a little and spun him out, but I can't tell you for sure.
So we have a spill early. John went back to fifth. Currently, John sits in first place in the standings. Jason's in second. Jim is in third. Bryce is in fourth. Tim in fifth. Phil in sixth. Ryan in seventh. And let's take a look at Jim in third here as he looks like Bryce gets a little loosened.
Yeah, I think that was Phil actually there, but he's...
Yep, you're right. Sorry, Jason. Yep, it was Phil. Yep. Let's take a look now at Bryce in second behind Jason. Remember, Jason won last week. John won the first 2 weeks. As we have Jason, Bryce, John, and Jim all in the Lambo for today's race. Phil will be in the BMW. As we take a look as they go around turn 10 here. Towards turn 12 on lap 1. Once again, this is a 25-minute race, so plenty of time for racers to make moves. As we take a look here at Jason in first, now back to Bryce in second as they head towards the New Holland curve, the last turn in this 14-turn race here at Barcelona. Jason will hit the starting line first as Phil
looks
gets
like
way
Phil
loose.
got off. Yep, Phil's off the track there. Doesn't surprise me. That's a real tough corner. I actually struggled with that one quite a bit. Just real easy to get in there, a little too hot, find yourself off on the side.
So Phil moves back to fourth now. Jim is at third. Jim will take advantage of that spill by Phil. As Jason's still in first. Right behind him is Bryce as they head towards the Repsol curve here in lap 2 of this Sport Car Series race. We're in week 4 of an 8-week series here at the Grid Lounge in downtown Cedar Falls, Iowa. This is season 4 of the GT3 series. This is the sport car race here. This was added last year, season 3. So this is the second year here at the Grid Lounge. As you take a look at Jason in the Lambo here as he goes past the Campsa curve. In first place, behind him is Bryce. Jim is in third. Phil's in fourth. John's still back in fifth. He had that early spill, and it really hurt him, so he'll try to make as much time as possible, try to get his way back towards the leaders. As they head towards turn 12, and out they come here with Jason still in first. Taking a look now at Bryce, who's in second here. Bryce sits currently in fourth in the standings. He did not race in week 1, so he's only has 2 races under his belt. As Jason posts a 146.526, that's the fastest lap of the sport car races so far. As we take a look at Bryce, still very, very close. Still, he had a good lap as well. As they head towards the Repsol turn here. Jason, tell us about this turn here. It's a really, really tough one.
Oh, yeah, actually, speaking of that, we see Phil get a little loose. If I see... Yep, that was Phil, indeed. Yeah, it's a real tough corner, Pete. I can tell you that the curbs are not very forgiving, so if you get off on those, could see yourself spinning, getting the car's weight all uneven. I think the best thing you can do in that corner, from what I've experienced, is just be consistent with your speed and braking. You don't want your car really getting all worked up, throttling too much, throwing it around with your brake. So just smooth and steady is the best route for that corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And As I asked that question, like you said, Phil takes a spill. He goes back to 5th place now. John moved to 4th. Jim's still in 3rd. Bryson 2nd. Jason in 1st. Jason and Bryce, though, still very tight. So Bryce ready to make a move if Jason has a screw up here as they head towards the New Holland turn, the 14th and final turn of this racetrack. And they'll head towards lap 4, towards the starting line. We'll see Jason post a 146.342. Fastest lap so far, the sports cars. Bryce with a 147. So a little bit slower, but still very good. As those guys head past the L turn and towards turn 3.
Yeah, Pete, we may have missed something. Bryce was sticking around about 2 seconds behind me there. Actually, just slowly closing the gap, but I think on that last turn there, I think it's turn 14, he must have caught a little bit of that sand. Now he's sitting around the 4-second mark. But he's no doubt, he's chopping away, and definitely a threat at this point.
Yeah, it's still close, but you can definitely tell Jason is kind of pulling away here a little bit as they head towards turn 7 now and up towards the Campsa curve. We take a look here. We said earlier, these guys have the choice from 6 different cars. You got the Acura, the Mercedes, the Porsche, the Lambo, the Audi, the BMW. You cannot change the cars. So you got to, as they come, you got to pick them as they come. So you cannot change them. But you have 6 cars to choose from. You can choose a different car each race, or you keep the same one. Does not matter. As they head towards the 13th turn, towards New Holland, the 14th, the final turn, and up the straightaway. Jason has gotten an even bigger lead now as the race has gone on. They'll head towards lap 5 here, and Jason will post a 146.246. Again, the fastest lap of the race. I've said that 3 or 4 times now. As they head past turn 1, and maybe a little screw up there. Jason, was that a mess up there, or were you good right there?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I may have taken a little slow. If I recall, I was starting to get a little comfortable here, wanting to slow down. But I wasn't, I don't think I got off the track, but definitely was slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, might have been just to slow down there. Obviously, you want to brake hard heading into that elf. These guys will head past turn 5, towards turn 7 here.
Yeah, Pete, something interesting. I believe it was season 3 last season. All drivers were racing in the Corvette. Do you remember? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, last season, let's see here. So that was season 3.
Yeah, I believe there's something, this is kind of a new experience here at Grid Lounge. So, in the first season they tried something unique. They're just trying to change it up. They're feeling it out. So, if I heard right, season 3, they just stuck with one car.
Yep, you are correct. Season 3 was the same setup for everybody, same car, same everything. So everybody was on the same playing field there. Season 2 is when we really started to see the rivalries develop. Really got to see these guys' personality come out as you could pick a car at the beginning of the season and you had to stick with that car the whole time, except for once. You could change your car one time if you wanted to, but that was it. So you could not change your car. But what you could do is you could change the setup of your car each race. So you had to stick with the same car, but you could change the setup. The next season, everything was the same. And in this season, you can change your car, but no setup. So we've done a little bit of different stuff, trying to figure out what works best for this series here, as we are in season 4, week 4 of this 8-week series here. And we're also on race 3, where Jason leads, Bryson in second, Jim's in third, John in fourth, Phil back in fifth. both John and Phil had a spill there, and so they got far back as they head down towards turn 1. Jason headed towards the Campsic turn as he is in second place in the standings. So if he can hold, this would be big. A lot of points for him. As we are under 15 minutes now left in this race. As Jason heads past turn 10 and towards turn 12 here on lap 6.
Yeah, Pete, 14 minutes is a lot of time left to race. And I can tell you, Bryce was not far behind me here. In the past, my first 2 races definitely had a couple spin outs, even all my own. So that's something I've been trying to work on. And seeing Bryce in the review, I can tell you I was getting a little worried. One little mishap, I can see myself dropping far back.
Yeah, I mean, if people remember week 1 and 2, Jason finished second in both of them. Led quite a few laps, but kind of self-induced wounds there. Spun out a couple times each week, and John was able to capitalize, take first. Last week, Jason was able to get into the winner's circle, so he won week 3, and now he's looking to go back-to-back and put an even bigger distance between him and Bryce, who's in second. We got Jim. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to point out, you can see the top 3 there all ran 147s. So, it doesn't surprise me. Jim was in here getting some good practice laps in. I can tell you, I walked in and saw he had a 147, but even a 146. I'd have to double check, but I knew he was going to be ready to race today.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the laps here of practice, Jim with 190 laps of practice, so he really got the work in. Sitting in third, still very much in it with a lot of time left.
Yeah,
as Jason will head towards. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's going to show. Next 10 minutes, you're going to see Jim's going to be consistent. Bryce got those practice laps in. He's going to be consistent. We even have a little battle going on here, 4th and 5th. It's a battle on their own. Every racer's just trying to get their fastest lap time, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys finish out in the last 12 and a half minutes.
Yeah, Jason, we must have had maybe another loose or contact. Phil now further back in 5th. He was really tight with John, and now moves back further to 5th, so something must have happened there. Camera wasn't on it, so we're not quite sure, but there's quite a bit of distance now. The field is very spread out as Jason heads past turn 1 here. Bryce in second, Jim in third, John in fourth, Phil in 5th. Very spread out now with 12 minutes left in this race. We are over halfway done of this 25-minute race. We're on lap 8 here at Barcelona. Scattered clouds, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. 97 degrees is the tarmac temp. As we move through this race course here. Jason, you mentioned it earlier, but and we have someone, Phil once again gets loose. So Phil will move further back here. Just was not his race here.
Yeah, it can be pretty challenging out there, P. If you get a little far behind, you start wanting to get aggressive and catch up. Doesn't surprise me. And one thing to note, Phil is the only one in the BMW in this race. Everyone else with the Lambo.
Yeah, so maybe that had something to do with it. As these guys are very spread out now. And it looks like maybe Phil's in the pits. Phil had to go to the pits, so he is in there currently as Jason will move towards turn 13. When you head into this turn, you want to make sure you stay off the inside curb. It can throw that car off in an unpredictable way, so you really got to make sure to keep tight. Keep a good pattern coming out of there as Jason will head into the straightaway here towards turn 1. Still in first place. We're 10 minutes, 30 seconds left. We're on lap 9. As he heads past the Elf and in towards turn 3 here. We take a look here at Jason's car. He's in first. Head towards the Repsol turn. You want to make sure you brake right before the bridge, Jason. That's what I read. Is that true here when you're heading into that turn?
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. I can tell you it's for sure true for the sport class racers. From what I kind of saw in the pros, they were pushing the limits, maybe braking right at it, right under it. All that matters when you're trying to crack down on a faster lap time. But once you get braked, it's kind of a long, deceiving corner to find that apex. I know I struggled with it, but clearly it's a risky corner. All these corners honestly have a challenge of their own.
Yeah, we're taking a look here at John. He's back and forth. Now we'll go over to Jim, who's in third. He's not terribly far away from Bryce. If he can make some time up here and maybe Bryce gets loose once or twice, he can take advantage here as we have just over 9 minutes left in this race. This is the sports cars race here. This is race 3 of race 5 tonight here inside Grid Lounge. It's a 125-minute race. Winner take all here as these guys look to get points in this 8-week series. Once again, John does lead the series. He's in first place in the overall standings. Jason's in second. Jim is in third. Bryce in fourth. Tim in fifth. Phil in sixth. Ryan in seventh. So Tim and Ryan are out this week. They're not participating. We have 5 other guys here tonight, because they all want to score as many points as possible. As Jason head towards the Repsol curve here. Bryce in second. We'll take a look at him.
Yeah, Pete, you can see Jim put down a 147.275 there. So certainly catching up to Bryce. Might have ourselves a battle in a few laps.
Yeah, I mean over 2 seconds quicker than Bryce. If he does that 2 more times, that's going to be very tight here, as we have under 8 minutes. Under 8 minutes left in this race. We're on lap 10 here as Jason heads towards the camps turn. Jason, another thing I read here said you want to run your car over the very edge of that track. It looks like that's what most people are doing heading into that turn. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think you're right, Pete. It really allows the car to take advantage of the course. Whether it's getting yourself a little more road to carry your speed through, it's certainly the best line. Not always easiest to pull off, but that's the goal.
Absolutely. Here as Jason heads towards the final turn here in this 14-turn race course. He'll look to continue to have good times as he'll head towards the starting line. It has a 147.
Yeah, you can see Jim put down 147 as well, but John back there in fourth put down a 147.637. I tell you, Fee, you got to feel bad for him there. He right away in that race took a spin out, and he's just been battling his way back. It's got to be a little tough being coming in first place in the first early races. So hopefully we'll see John battle through here and possibly get himself up to third. You never know.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, he was first place. He also led a lot of laps. You led a lot of laps. It was you and him in those first 2 races. He got the best of both of them. As we head towards turn 7 here, we're just over 6 minutes left in this race. As we had Jason in first, Bryce in second, Jim in third, John in fourth, Phil in fifth. Not much has changed since the early on. We're pretty spread out here, but Jim is trying to catch Bryce here, excuse me. But will he have enough time? As we take a look at John here, back and forth. He's headed towards the Repsol turns here. As Jason will head past turn 12, towards turn 13. Bryce here in the Lambo. Must have been a Lambo day here at Barcelona.
Jim off into the sand, yeah.
Oh, Jim off into the sand. So Jim gets a little loose there in third.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt him, Pete. That's gonna hurt him a little
Yeah,
bit.
he'll lose a little bit more time, Jason, and moves just further back into third. Had some really good laps there, just trying to push it a little too hard, I'm sure.
Yeah, he loses a good 3 seconds there. I'm sure he was dialed in for another 147. We'll see though. Just under 5 minutes left. Plenty of time left. You never know what can happen. You can see up in first, I'm gonna be battling some lap traffic, so you never know what type of surprises could come from that, Pete.
Yep, absolutely. It looks like Jason is catching Phil here. Phil back in fifth. Remember, he had a pit, had a couple spills, had some car damage where he had to go in. As they head past, Jason will head into turn 7, and then look to head towards turn 9. The camps the curve here. And still, Jim not way far back, still in it. If Bryce has a mistake, Jim will be there to capitalize here. As we are on lap 12, we have 4 minutes left. As Jason will head past turn 10, looking ahead at Phil. As we take a look at Phil's car right now. Phil is driving the BMW, only racer not to be racing the Lambo. It kind of seems like it might have hurt him. Not sure if it was a car or if it was bumps, but just got loose a couple times and never could recover from it. As Jason heads down the straightaway, we're on lap 13, 3 minutes, 30 seconds left. And the field is super spread out here as Jason in first, Bryce in second, Jim in third, John in fourth, Bill way back in fifth. As we have just over 3 minutes left in this race, Pro Series race here, as Jason looks to go back to back here at Barcelona. Here's Bryce here in the Lambo as he heads around turn 3. He'll head towards the Repsol curve here. Jason looks like he's gaining a little bit more on Phil. We'll see if he's able to catch him or if he wants to even catch him here. So we're on pretty short time. Quite a big lead. Let's take a look here at Phil right now. He's headed towards the Campsa curve with Jason behind him. As we have 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in this sport car race. We're on week 4 of 8-week series here inside the Grid Lounge here in downtown Cedar Falls. We're here every Tuesday night, 5 races. We got 2 heats of the pros. Top 2 move on to the finale. We got a sport car race that we're on currently. Race 4 is the wild card race. Race 5 is the main event where the Pro Series racers will go for first.
Bryce is off the track.
Bryce is way off the track here, and let's see if Jim can catch him and make a move here.
Contact.
Oh, Jim hits him. Oh, as Jim came around that curve, it looked like made contact with Bryce trying to get back on the track. I don't know if that was anybody's fault, Jason.
Yeah,
What'd you see?
Oh, it's really tough, Pete. Yeah, Bryce had to get back on the track. Tough position for him. And I'm sure Jim is one of them situations. He came up on that through the corner, didn't have time to stop, and that's just how it played out.
Yep, so Bryce then will move in, or excuse me, Jim will move into second. Bryce moves back to third, so Bryce spilled out on his own there. Jim came around that turn, and I think it was just unfortunate. Bryce was trying to get back on the track. Jim was racing, and it made enough more contact, causing Bryce to go off the track again, going way back to third here. So we have 50 seconds left. It's going to be close here if we're going to have another lap. As they head towards the Campsa curve here, we'll see if Jason makes it in under 35 seconds. Otherwise, this will be it here. We got Jason in first, Jim now in second, Bryce back to third, John in fourth, Phil back in fifth. Oh, it looks like Bryce gets a little loose again, so Bryce probably trying to do all he can to catch up real quick, goes off the track and goes further back to third. As we're at 10 seconds, I think this is going to be it here. As they head towards the last turn. This, yep, looks like this will be it. And Jason will win for back-to-back weeks here. As it looks like Jim will come in second. Bryce will come in third. John will come in fourth, and Phil will come in fifth. So Jason will take over first place in the standings now with back-to-back wins here. John will look to come back next week and hopefully have better luck at the beginning. I know today just got knocked back early and was really tough to catch up. As John now in the grass here looks like.
Yeah, good race overall, Pete. It's always exciting to see a little action there at the end. Unfortunate for Bryce. I'm sure you got to remember tire wear comes into play. We got 25 minutes. That front left's just getting torn at, and that's just how it goes. Super tough, but Jim pulls through, gets a second place finish, and gets himself a little extra points for the final standings.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm glad. I mean, Jim put in a lot of work here. 190, practice laps. So he was really ready to go. Got a second place finish. So once again, Jason in first, Jim in second, Bryce in third, John in fourth. Phil will finish back in fifth. As we look next, will be race 4, the wild card race, where 4 racers will go for 2 spots to get to the main event, the Pro Series finale. We'll be back shortly.